All right, welcome back to this episode of Thinking Well. As we said in our last closing, this will be the conclusion of Pete Madson's testimony, so get ready for part 2.
Faith building.
I know, that's
Lord,
really good.
Lord, I'm meeting this, person. I pray. Nope. Lord, nope. So then, you've met her. Erin came along.
And we've had her on our podcast.
Yes.
We actually have, yeah.
Yes. There was just something about her. The smile in her picture. We've met online. An hour. Two, yeah. She had this smile in
I
her
would have
picture
never guessed that.
that lit things up. Yeah, we met on a Christian website.
That's hilarious.
And she was teaching about 90 minutes north of me, an hour, depends which of us is driving. She was from the same town where my mother cruised growing up in Illinois.
Huh.
6 months and 1 day from the minute we met, we were getting married.
Wow.
God, again,
You beat me,
we
Pete.
prayed. It wasn't dating. It was a job interview. There's a great book out there, 1,001 Questions to Ask the person you're dating. And literally, it was a job interview because it was too serious and there were too many coincidences. For those on the podcast, I'm making air quotes because there's no possible way the Lord lined this up at this point in time. She arrived in Monterey 2.5 months after I got there. Her first year teaching in San Jose, not Monterey. I was in Monterey. We meet that December. So I get there in June. She gets there in August. She starts teaching. We meet in December just before Christmas. We had like 2 dates. And we were really just looking for someone to explore the area with because she was from there. I'd never been stationed in California before. So, San Francisco, whatever. And I go home for Christmas to Dad's for Christmas. It was one of the few times we gathered together for a major holiday. And I kind of mentioned it. And I told him and my stepmother, I said, I think I've met your daughter-in-law. And my dad was like, oh, that's nice. And Dad's gruff. You might see where I get it from. But my stepmother just about smacks his arm off saying, Gary, pay attention. This could be more grandchildren. And that was December. And we had only been on 2 dates. Early on, Erin asked me to stop drinking. And I wasn't, my significant drinking had dropped off significantly, largely because of the depression I suffered through in Bahrain, because that second year was tough. And it would have been real easy to become a drunk. And I just got it under control. And that's largely because my roommate on deployment, Steve, didn't drink. And it never occurred to me to not drink. So there were a couple of times where I didn't drink. And I just started. So when the time came for me to stop drinking, because Erin asked me to. It wasn't that I felt conviction about it. Erin asked me to. Okay. And it was just this, I was so intrigued with her because it was just, I'm like, I couldn't figure this girl out. She's stubborn and strong-minded and what? Okay, I'm done with this. Lord, if she doesn't get nice the next date, that's it, I'm done. And there was always something like the next date, and it was the next date, and it was the next date. Next thing you know, it's a month. Next thing you know, it's February. And we're talking about getting engaged. And she's, okay, maybe I did too. We disagree on a point, but at some point there was a deposit put down for a photographer before I even proposed. But we met in December. We were engaged by February. And it just is amazing things because in Monterey, California, central coast of California, has a point there called Lovers Point. And it used to be called Lovers of Christ Point. And they had big crusades.
Okay.
Cult meetings there. Not Billy Graham, but before that. And that was where I proposed to Erin. That was where I was baptized. Didn't find a good church. We were going to Calvary Chapel. There was a Calvary Chapel there that gave us our kind kind of our wedding training. It was so long ago, I forget what they call it, but
Your premarital counseling.
Premarital counseling. Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
Well, we blew off. It was literally like, how many Sunday afternoons were we like doing the stuff in a rush because we had a meeting with Steve Monday? Sorry, Steve. Different Steve, not Steve from Ship. And that was it. We were married. 6 months. 1 day. Because God had planned it out. Every single time I started to doubt, God showed me how he had prepared the way, how he had kept me safe and alive when I lost a good friend in Bahrain, kept me safe through all my travels, kept me from making life-alteringly stupid decisions, even though I was doing my best to prove him wrong. And he honored it anyway by giving me not the bride I was expecting, but the one I needed.
Yeah.
A headstrong, opinionated, courageous, someone I could just spend the rest of my life trying to figure out. And it just, we moved like, and the biggest thing was we knew early on that we were going to get married. And the reason that was kind of pushing it was not only my detached date from there in Monterey, because the military, I'll let you in a secret. They're called orders. They're not invitations. They were going to move me. And so we did kind of the timeline, and I actually talked to her principal and said, hey, this is weird. It was like January timeframe. He didn't know me. He barely knew me from Adam, except that we went to her church our first date. That was one of those weird things, and she'll tell you the fuller story there. But like all the men in the church gather around me to let me know, hey, we're watching out for Aaron, so knock it off. I'm like, I'm bigger and younger than all y'all. But I met with Pastor Smith there at the church in Liberty Baptist in San Jose, California. Just a wonderful, God-fearing, true Baptist preacher, and I love the way he preached. And he gave me the guidance that I needed to hear, and that was, okay, a couple things. One, he basically gave me permission to get married after such a short courtship. He was like, yeah, no, if you're feeling the Lord's calling, you do it. And I was like, really?
God's timing is not man's timing.
But then he was there. And, okay, well, she lives 90 minutes, 60 minutes north of me. If we get married, what does that mean for her teaching? Well, here's a timeline for her contract signing. So it was like, basically, it's like, hey, you better decide quick if you're going to not have her renew her, contract here, get married. And it was like, and again, there was all kinds of reasons that if I wasn't saved and I didn't feel God's peace and understanding that this was the right woman for me, one woman, one man, for life.
Amen.
To hang on to throughout the hard times, then I wouldn't have made it. We wouldn't have made it. But we did because we had the Lord to hang on to, and I had all of these coincidences, just amazing. And then our wedding, as I told you, the Holy Spirit took over. And then the family drama that I was expecting that just got kept under the seams and hidden, that I didn't have to see. But it all worked out. Right on down to, there's a place in Wisconsin Dells. Back it up.
Yep, heard of them.
Aaron, right down to where we went for our honeymoon. Aaron always wanted to honeymoon in a log cabin somewhere in the forest. Just so happens my dad had a log cabin built on Lake Superior. So we got bored. So we went to Wisconsin Dells because we never got to go to, as kids, and spend the kind of time we wanted to. Yeah. So we water slid and did all the oars, all the stuff. And then we realized, wow, this place is really kind of,
not that great.
Well, it was the water slides were okay. But but we grew up, we learned, and that I still was a baby Christian, even though I'd been saved. I was 2005. So I'd been saved for about 4 years, 3.5. I still was learning, not the least of which is learning the responsibilities of a godly Christian husband, which there's so many fantastic books on being a godly Christian husband that men have got to become marriageable to fit in and lead their homes, because it's not natural in this day and age. It's something we need to teach our sons. It's something we need to pass on. It's something we need to display to our daughters, how mommy and daddy treat each other in a godly home, because the outside of the house, outside of the church, it's not what it should be. So, and then off to the races. I often refer to a certain book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. And oh, the places we've been. Back and forth, driven across the country 3 or 4 times now.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, you don't know fun until you sometimes slower, sometimes faster. And that's 19 years. And each step of the way, God has provided a pastor exactly how we needed to prepare us for the next pastor to be contributing. Our first pastor taught us to be young newlyweds. Our second pastor was a very academic Baptist pastor. Our next pastor, and that was in D.C. Our next pastor, it was just one of those things. We were back in California. We went to D.C., then back to California. And small town, middle of nowhere, California, Santa Maria. And we're in San Jose seeing the old church, Pastor Russ Smith. And we still didn't have a church. And we'd driven all the way across the country trying to figure it out. And all of a sudden, we're at the Liberty Baptist in San Jose. And Erin comes over to me. She's practically doing backflips. And I'm like, what is going on? What are you so happy about? Because, I mean, we camped our way across the fruited plain, which, again, is just amazing. And she said, Pastor Jim Shetler has a church in Santa Maria. I don't know who Pastor Jim Shetler is, but she did, because he was the president of her college when she went to Pensacola Christian College.
Wow.
You want to talk about, if just one of the many miraculous points that have happened to me through my life, the fact that Jim Shetler had been there 1 year before we got there, and he left 1 year after we left. The academic, the loving, the caring, the bare-knuckled Baptist preacher of that church. And I didn't know how good I had it, because we just moved off again. And every step of the way, there was a different pastor. Fast forward. We go to San Diego, another phenomenal pastor. Our first deployment since we were married. I get on a ship, I'm gone. Still no kids, 83-pound German Shepherd. We're fine. It was a short deployment, no big deal. Erin actually got to be on the ship to see a little bit. Long story short, that was done. After that, we go to Hawaii. And that was, I know I'm going long. I'm sorry. Do I have a call?
No.
Okay.
No, keep going, man. I will say that what you were saying about pastors, like leading, like God places the right pastor in your life at the time that you need that particular kind of spiritual education and support. Just, man, when I look back at like the pastors that God has placed in my life, like from the time that I got really, really serious about like serving God, he actually started placing the right pastors in my life before I got serious to kind of guide me into, hey, you kind of need to start getting serious with your life about God. You know what I mean? It's because some people look at it and they're like, man, I can't believe that like God moved us away from this great church or this great church, or yeah, but what did God move you to? And what kind of support did he put in your life when he moved you? Because I mean, people don't have the luxury of always staying exactly where they've always grown up, right? And sometimes we can look at that as like this negative thing. But I mean, if your moves are consistent with God's plan, God always just finds this way, right? He's like, oh, no, you're exactly where I wanted you to be. You might not know it yet, but you'll get there eventually. And one of these days you'll look back and you'll realize, hey, you were exactly where I needed you to be in that moment. But that's super cool that you brought that up, because I've found that to be so true in our lives as well.
That reason I broke your ankle, there's a reason.
Yeah.
You'll understand later, eventually.
And even the guy you said, like God broke his hand, like people don't think about that kind of stuff. They look like, I can't believe I broke my hand. Like, why would God do this? Like, hey, your trial may not be for your benefit.
Amen.
Like your trial may be for somebody else's
Reach
benefit.
out for help. I have to stop real quick in San Diego. It was there that Erin visits her family. She's, if you haven't gotten it, a very functional family, as my father declared it at our engagement party. It's absolutely true. 4 generations of her family would meet every morning at Hardee's for years. I characterize it as Rockwellian. Like the first time I was there, my stepfather was very sick. We had just been dating for a couple of weeks. It was that January. We met in December that January. He was in the Chicago area. Erin's folks are 3 hours outside of Chicago. They said, hey, why don't you come out and crash with us and then go visit him as you want, back and forth, back and forth. So I get to go see my future in-laws without my future wife. So I get to go to Hardee's and all this other stuff. And
you got to go sit at Hardee's with them when she wasn't there? I was
staying at my father and mother-in-law's house before. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, but the Lord lined it up because they got to see me, and I told them a little bit about, because, all they knew was their daughter was dating a sailor, right?
Yeah.
Swears like a, drinks like a.
Yep.
So, yeah. But that was just, again, one of those things where, my stepfather wound up recovering that time. But it was one of those opportunities where, hey, come on out and meet everybody, and we still have pictures of all the. Anyway, they have a number of kids that we've seen just grow throughout the years, and it's been just a miracle seeing them grow from where I met them to seeing them grow now, and a bunch of them have already graduated high school, and it's just some miracles. But dropping anchor for a second in San Diego, and this is if I have a ministry in life that I pray the Lord expands on, but it's up to Him, that I just have a passion for, that has got to be handled, and we cannot be afraid to talk about it, and that is financial responsibility. I got into Dave Ramsey when I was in San Diego. Erin was visiting her folks. That's how I got off on a tangent there. And I read Dave Ramsey's book, and by the time I read the 3rd chapter, I had already done all the calculations of how much we were in debt, what we owed, who we owed it to, how we were going to pay it off, what the time frame was to pay it off. And I wrote this big, long email because I'm super detailed. And I sent it to Erin, and I ended it by saying, don't be afraid. And she was like, okay. I did not know at the time what God was preparing us for. One, it put a passion in my heart that getting a hold of our finances and being responsible for our finances the way God intended, being good stewards, responsible for every single penny, being grateful for every single penny, however it's earned, as long as it's respectable, cherishing it, just putting that into our family tree, rerouting our family tree, changing how we live, because we don't talk about it. You know why I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to college? It wasn't because Mom told me, hey, you've got X $1,000, and then when we run out, we run out. It was, it's none of your business. I'm not telling you. You don't get to know.
Yep.
Whoa, okay. And then all of a sudden it's dropped on me. And then, oh, by the way, I'm calling my dad for the first time. And then I get to work on his farm for a couple of summers and get to know him, kind of. And then, because that was financial irresponsibility. This turned it around. This became my passion. Little did I know, there in San Diego, God set us up. And that was 2011. No, 2013. We go to Hawaii. No kids. Praying for kids. 2013. We've been married for 8 years. Go to Hawaii. Tough job. Really tough job. Really tough boss. Tough boss. Really tough boss. I learned a lot. What I learned most was how to set up a church. Our church there, when we got there, this is, again, the amazing thing. We were in San Diego for 2 years, a little bit less. Got there in September. Deployed in February, Valentine's Day. early Valentine's Day. Came back for a week, deployed to Hawaii, came back. But when we got back that second year, we knew we were going to Hawaii. But December of that year, so that's 2013, I meet Anthony King. He's building up support. Just happened to be at our church, Canyon Ridge. Pastor Chris Chadwick. Saw me through the worst day of my career so far. I'll get to that. But Chris Chadwick introduced us. Hey, we're coming to Hawaii. Pastor King preached. Okay, this guy's prior Navy. He's going to Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii. Seems like it'd be a good fit. We don't know where we're going to go. Haven't heard there's any good churches in Hawaii that are what we believe in. Mm-hmm. Got it. Good. We'll see you. So, my ship in San Diego. We went through a yard period, which is basically you're not deploying, you're fixing things up. They were spending like the largest amount of money fixing up the ship. But every day, there's an officer put in charge of the duty section so that they're responsible for the ship so the rest of the crew can go home. A lot like on 9/11, I was running the watch while everybody else went to sleep. Same thing applies. Something goes bump in the night, you go find out what it is or whatever. So you take over about 7 a.m, you do quarters, you get everybody together, give your instructions for the day and go carry it out. This day was not unlike any other day. We were running one of the elevators that hadn't been running like years, so we're not sure if it was going to work. That was the major event of the day. The rest of it was just working on the ship. A young sailor, early on in my just regular routine going around the ship, and it's a big ship. It was an amphibious assault ship. Carries about a battalion of Marines, 900 Marines. Ship's company of about 800, so not as big as a carrier if you think of it as a helicopter carrier. So about an hour into my day, and I forget because it became a blur, there's a medical alert. And when you're on a ship, the intercom, we call it the 1MC, you hear emergency calls all the time, but when they get a bell and ring it, unless they say exercise, 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 it's for real and it's critical. And it's a medical alert to the forward magazine. So I run to where I thought the forward magazine wasn't there. I forgot that they moved it to the forward gym, so I ran to the forward gym. There's the XO. He got there ahead of me and let me know that one of our young sailors shot themselves. And it was my job to get the area secure. Because, a ship's a family.
Yeah.
We know everybody. This young sailor's entire shop tried getting in, and this is where, throughout the day, I just was begging the Lord to help me keep it together so that I could set an example for my duty section, because we had to run the ship. We were going to be there all night afterwards. And got the folks out of the space. The greatest victory that day was that sailor was alive when we got them off the ship. And that's a credit to our medical department. But passed en route to medical care. Really a challenging day because the ship still had to do the ship stuff. The things you don't think about. Who was going to clean the magazine? Was there an investigation that needed to be conducted? We withdrew certain parts of security from kids who we were concerned that it would start a cluster of suicides because that so frequently happens. And there's a number of other details that I won't go into, but it was a tough day. And that night when we were alone on the ship, and it was just the duty section, chaplain stuck around, but it was you trying to check in and say, you okay? You okay? But there's now about 80 of us across this huge ship, And I mean, you can't check on anybody. You just, okay, keep it together, keep it together. And early on in the day, and Erin would always kind of bug me that I wanted to go to sleep so early the day before duty, because I told her eventually there was going to be a day that I would not be able to sleep. And I early on in the thing, I couldn't, you don't text details because you just don't. You wait for the formal process of notification. And I just simply texted her, please set up an appointment with Pastor King. Today's the day. And the next day I went into Pastor Chadwick's office, and I just became a weeping puddle of mess from keeping it together for almost 24 straight hours. And it was all the Lord. I just, all at once, those 24 hours came pouring out of me. And I just thank God that Pastor Chadwick and I had that relationship, that closeness, that he has this gregarious guy. He's an amazing CrossFitter.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing when you have a preacher that's got a fist, Mike Tyson size. Oh my gosh. He's, again, real deep thinker, deep guy, but critical. But fast forward, we go to Hawaii. Sorry for the tangent. That was
No, not at all.
We go to Hawaii. Flying there was a miracle. 13 bags, one German Shepherd crate the size of a New York apartment. We get to the airport. Everything checks out. All of our bags are there. The day started at 2 a.m. Getting to the airport, getting everything checked in, getting the dog checked in, making sure that he passes quarantine, everything else. Yeah. We get off the plane, and we're like, okay, we got our dog, we got our 13 bags. We had a reservation for where to stay, but I left it to the Lord to figure out how we were going to get there, because I'm like, I'll figure that out when we get there. It's just too many things to worry about. And I'm looking at this car, and it's a Honda pickup truck, and I'm like, and the guy literally just turns out, hey, can I give you a lift? God providing. We want to talk about entertaining angels. I have seen so many angels in disguise. And trust me, I can go another 3 hours, but I'm nearing. That was Saturday. And it was crazy hectic. No idea where we're going to live. Job was going to be a meat grinder, really incredibly challenging. And oh, by the way, I was up for promotion, so it was a big deal, huge, like deciding whether or not I stayed in or not. And then, again, it was the sort of thing where I should have just let God guide my hand, but I was still sweating it. Good anxieties never wasted. But that was Saturday. And our room wasn't ready for another hour. So we're sitting out like, okay, we got all these bags, and we're sitting out and waiting. And
at least you had something to sit on, right?
Well, yeah. Well, we were out on the front porch and just watching the palm trees sway in Pearl Harbor. And but Saturday or Sunday, we knew we were going to church. Pull up at Huikala Baptist Church. They'd been open for 3.5, 4 weeks. I got in the door, and Pastor King, big lifter, hugs me in a bear hug. And the 3.5 years we were there, God was so good. God challenged us tremendously. We had Pastor King to teach us as we taught him. One of his biggest mottos is see the need and take the lead. Because it's such a new church, figure it out.
Yeah. Hey,
we got to figure out how to be an usher. Pete, figure it out. Hey, we got to count the money. Figure it out. And there was a core 3 families of us, and they make it. It was a privilege to be there, to be mature enough in our faith, though we were far from mature, to contribute to Huikala. Huikala means our collective debt is forgiven.
That's powerful.
It is. And again, each pastor taught us something different as we go along. And Pastor King taught me first to grow up. Aaron and I, we had our problems. It was kind of there where we had our first kind of real, like, we're having problems. We got to talk to somebody. And Pastor King actually listened to us. And he told us straight, he said, look, you have junior high school problems. And he went down the list of a couple of problems that he had in the congregation. And this is the sort of thing that we forget as churchgoers. But I guarantee you, when pastor stands up here and preaches the word and he looks out on the congregation, he's looking out and saying, porn, drugs, credit card, adultery, struggling with identity. And yet he preaches the word. And that was what Pastor King taught me. And it was like, wow, okay, you're right. We do have junior high, but we need some help. Can you help us? And he helped us. But one of the miracles, the two miracles, Pastor King was kind of, I don't want to say he was making it up as he go, but there's no book on planting a church, especially in a place like Oahu where Baptist churches go to die. Fundamentalist churches, there's like one other one. And they're hoping to split off to have a third. But God has thrived. And I asked a buddy about our second year there, hey, because he was a new member, he was remarking how great it was to be at Hui College. I said, yeah, what is it we have here that no other church has? He's like, I don't know. Because we went through our heartaches at church. There were people who came, who left, who didn't really belong. And this is where I started praying, not regularly, but infrequently, Lord, please bring the right people to church and please keep the wrong people out.
Yeah.
Because the Lord will. But prayer is such a piece. But Pastor King preached on fasting for like 6 weeks. Yeah. And you hear about it and people talk about it. He still rolls them out every once in a while. But this was like really in depth. And glory to God. It was during that time that, again, I was working nights, month of days, month of nights, month of days, month of nights. Oh, it's tough. It's so tough on Aaron. But I would have like 3 a.m. coffees with Pastor King because he's a night owl too. I was staying up all night because I had to. Just on my nights off, I'd stay up, just stay on rhythm. Yeah. But so we'd meet in the back, and he humbled me a couple of places because I was really worried about failing in front of my colleagues. He said, Pete, what would happen if you really failed and really got chewed out in front of all your contemporaries? What would happen? What's causing you to worry about that? I said, pride. He's like, yeah. God hates pride. And I really, soon after that, I stopped worrying so much and I got a lot better because I spent a lot of time on my knees before those briefs because they were 45 minutes to 90 minutes long, 87 slides, and was just long. And it just was, but God built me and he strengthened me. But it was during that time where God broke me one day. I was sleeping during the day, and God just awoke me in the middle of the day, and I was weeping. I had the Spirit just weighing me down, and I had to go out, and I was just, and Aaron looked at me like, oh my gosh, what is he going to confess to? What has he been doing? What, Pete? What'd you do? And I said, Aaron, because we've been trying to have kids. We prayed for kids. And nothing happened. Nothing was happening. Hawaii is kind of where you go to have kids in the military because their hospital there delivers, I think, 200 or 300 a month.
Wow.
During working hours, they play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star every time a baby is born, and it's literally like every couple of minutes to where you don't even notice it. So lots of IVF, lots of all their other stuff. You all have talked about that. We tried it. It wasn't for us. It's a miracle for others, and I just respect and appreciate that. But we sought the Lord in so many ways, and again, when you see the door shut, And so this is the first time I've shared it with anybody outside of family. And I think one dear friend is if we covenanted with each other to fast for a week. Protein drinks, but that was it, which is doubly troubling for Erin because she's a type 1 diabetic. And if she doesn't manage her blood, we just spent that time when we were really, I mean, you get hungry and protein drinks don't do it. And you just, Lord, I want you. I want your will. I want your blessing. And one thing Pastor King talked about so much is asking for unmerited favor. In Malachi, it talks about, try me and I will open the heavens and see what I can give. And it just, we sought it. And we'd always planned on adopting. But we thought it would be after we had our own. But God had other plans. And Erin got to work. God love her. Oh, she just figures things out. As only a Navy wife can. We got nothing to do. I have no idea how to do this. I better figure it out because it's not going to get done and it's got to get done. She got that paperwork done so fast. Like I never took lunch at work. Like eat at my desk, period. Random phone call. Hey, we need to go like mail, whatever paperwork. We need an interview or we need this, and we leapt through things. We started in April. In June, we started getting like our interviews done and like we started getting calls saying, hey, you're not completed yet. You're not ready yet, but would you consider this child? They hadn't even, and it's like, this child is ready for you to come to your house now, if you want. And again, we prayed and prayed and prayed, but we believe, and it was after we completed the fast. Man, I'm telling you what, Teddy's Bigger Burgers are good to begin with. Oh, man, I'm telling you, that first burger after, and we still have that picture of us eating out Teddy Burger. We're like, oh my gosh. But it was because Pastor King set the standard. Sure. And he failed. He wasn't perfect. But you know what? He pointed at what is perfect, what is almighty, the I am. And it was one of those things where August comes around. That was June. We got all our paperwork done fastest time. We never thought it would go that fast because there are people who wait for years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so August, my birthday's in January. Bucket list item I want to do. I scuba dive. I want to scuba dive with the mantas off of the big island of Hawaii. It's a night dive, so you got to fly out there. You got to stay a day and a half. You go there, you dive at night, then you wait. You can't fly within 24 hours, so you got to wait. But and Erin said, as soon as you plan this trip, something's going to happen. And sure enough, we're in the parking garage of Honolulu International Airport on the phone with what would eventually be our son's birth mother. And that was Friday. So let's do some math here. That's Friday. I go diving Friday night because I got on my plane right after that phone call because we were like, this is happening too fast. There's no way this is our first phone call, first interview, first everything. So, okay, because we wanted a newborn. We thought we did. The Lord we felt led to. That's Friday. I come home Saturday night, nothing. Sunday, nothing. Monday, we get word that she had picked us to be there literally Friday, but she just didn't pass the word. She thought she made it clear, but it was miscommunication. So Erin immediately goes into nesting mode because we don't know. She thinks she's in her 9th month, but didn't take the best care, didn't have the best prenatal care, everything else. Okay. So Erin goes into full nesting mode because thinks she's 9 months, so means the baby could come anytime. So she gets everything set up. Our dog's like, what is going on? Our German Shepherd, 87 pounds. Oh, man. Did not know. And that was Monday. Erin goes into full nesting mode. Wednesday, she gets on a plane to go to Illinois to be with her family because she wanted to be closer to be ready in case the baby arrived so she could go and be there. I had some work stuff to finish up. I flew out that Friday. Okay, so from Friday to not know, a minute before that phone call, not knowing anything, to Monday being told we're going to be the parents of this child. Didn't know if it was a boy or girl. Didn't know the health condition. Didn't know anything. Nothing. Friday, Aaron flies to Illinois. Or Wednesday, Aaron flies to Illinois. I fly Friday. Saturday, nothing. Sunday, nothing. Monday, nothing. I'm burning up leave. I've only got so much. I'm starting to think, do I need to fly back to Hawaii and restart my leave clock? Because, getting the kids set up and everything else. And it's like 4:30 at night. We're at my sister-in-law's house. We were going to take my father-in-law's car down to pick up our child, an overnight drive. And like I'm sitting there and one of my nieces is showing me her chicken coop. And I'm like, I need to be distracted. Claire, tell me more about your chickens. Claire is such a sweetheart. Oh, she's such a sweetheart. She loves all living things. And in the midst of it all, and I'm like, Lord, do I need to go back? Lord, in the midst of it all, my youngest niece, Violet, comes running out. The baby's on the way. And we hadn't eaten yet. And so my in-laws immediately say, stop, you're going to eat. And we're like, it was ham and potatoes. We ate. You remember, yeah. So I wish I'd gotten a bigger nap that day because, so that was about 4:30 in the afternoon. We were looking at overnight drive. So by the time we got back to the in-laws, got them dropped off and packed, ready to leave. We had our go bags. We were all set to go. It's about 5:30. We're backing out of the driveway. Phone rings. It's a boy. Praise the Lord. It's a boy. We're going to go pick up our son. Drive through the night. All night. Again, God kept us safe because it was September. And we were driving through some pretty remote country roads.
Yeah.
That we did not hit anything. That I stayed awake because I ultimately wound up being awake about 37 hours. 'Cause sometimes you're so tired you can't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And things I learned at OCS, having 45 minutes of sleep over 48 hours, if you can do that, you can do anything. You learn a lot. And I did, at least, and I could have coffee and caffeine too. So we make it to the hospital and we see our son wrapped up like a burrito. And he was 14 hours old when we first saw him. It was about 7:30 in the morning. And it got real. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, did I make that clear? That was Tuesday. So Friday to Friday to Tuesday. No kids, son in our hands. Departing the hospital Tuesday. And we stayed at a certain chain of hotels that at the time was advertising about hosting a couple that were also adopting. So kudos to that hotel chain. Like the front staff, when they found out we were adopting, they were like, this is just like commercials. Yeah, it's just like the commercials, except my son woke us up every 45 minutes the first night.
They don't show that part in the commercial.
So awesome.
Nice.
Back when a certain Midwestern professional football team. So we got settled in. We had to be there a week to get the legal proceedings and everything, meet with our attorney, meet with the judge. The whole time we had a son. It's kind of a weird moment. We had a tweak, and we were never really worried, but it was the sort of thing where you always wonder, like, do we want to get too close, whatever. Like the first night, the adoption agency called us and said, hey, you ought to take the birth mother out to dinner tonight. And we're like, why? And we call our lawyer and we're like, what is going on here? He's like, okay, this doesn't sound terrible. And it turns out it was the adoption agency's idea. She was like, okay, I'll go to eat, and saw the kid.
Yeah.
And he was sleeping most of the time, so okay, and didn't think anything of it. She was on her phone most of the time. So okay. And then we drove back to Illinois, spent a little bit of time with our son, and then we flew back to Hawaii as parents.
Wow.
So from no kid to kid at home inside of 2 weeks. God's good. I told you we were having problems having kids. That was September. The next August, I'm out for a bike ride. Don't think anything of it. You know, work, lather, rinse, repeat. Church, lather, rinse, repeat.
Yep.
Teaching Dave Ramsey, helping out, doing stuff. Calling in Hawaii is awesome because it's the architecture there, the way they lay out houses is really interesting. You'll like walk down this street and you'll realize, oh, you have to walk like a block down this driveway, and then there's like this little subdivision like of 5 houses just randomly dropped here, and then anyway. Growing in the Lord, got selected for promotion. Previous boss got removed from his position. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. Tough Christians do. And so August, I'm out. I forget what I was doing. I was going for a bike ride. And Erin calls me. She knows I'm PT. Okay. Hey, can you come home and watch our son? And I was like, yeah, sure. She's like, okay, good. I've got to go to the doctor. I'm like, okay, type 1 diabetic. No, nothing concerning here. She's pregnant.
Wow.
I can give 5 reasons why we shouldn't have conceived. And I can give a whole lot more why we shouldn't have had a healthy pregnancy. But God put like a type 1 diabetic, like ninja, like Jedi Knight, like Vulcan,
all the sci-fi stuff.
Force manipulator. They're on the island. Like literally, she would call Erin and be like, well, what did you eat last night? Because I'm seeing something weird. Because one of the miracles about diabetes is they have these pumps that are getting more and more wired into things, and they're able to look at things and tweak things so that, and Erin was not in a good place to be pregnant. Normally diabetics have to take months to prepare their bodies. But since we figured we were not going to be able to conceive, well, God had other plans. And God's timing is perfect.
Amen.
My daughter was born. Trying to do the math. I forget how I should feel terrible, but I don't. About how far. Born about 9 weeks early.
Okay.
So 30 something weeks, 3 pounds, 1 ounce. She was little. The NICU they have at Tripler Army Medical Hospital is a miracle. Those people are heroes and angels, and God bless them because my little baby. But it wasn't even, we weren't even done yet. Nobody knew, but I was going to be deploying. I was finishing up in Hawaii. I was going to be deploying the 1st of June. Nobody knew at the time because I couldn't tell them because it was classified. But, you know, I was like, Lord, this baby's going to arrive and it's kind of tight with us leaving Hawaii. And they're saying they can flex, but I don't want to be late joining on deployment. So, because there's a lot to learn if you go into a new job. So I just brought our daughter early, healthy. Faith building. Erin always tells me you don't go to hospitals to catch up on your sleep. Boy, if that's not true. So we get there. Daughter's born at 11:30 at night. 11:27. About 4:30 in the morning, they wake us because we were sleeping at one of the rooms they have for us to sleep. We get to stay 24 hours, and they're like, okay, now it's like you can stay, but if we have to make you leave because we run out of space, and oh, by the way, we're not going to provide any services. So it's like, okay, go get your own food. Okay. Yeah, you just cut my wife open to deliver. Anyway, yeah, thanks. But she was fine. Everything's fine. But we get awakened 2:30, 3 o'clock. I forget. It's a blur, but we had not slept long. Never mind, we hadn't slept much to begin with. And our daughter's lungs are not developing the way they want. It's always a risk. But my wife's grandmother, when she passed, my mother-in-law said the most amazing thing, because she was in hospice at home for just a tremendously long amount of time. And it was only the last couple of days of her life that she spent at an actual hospice facility. And even that Christmas was just joyous because she was going home to her Lord. And my mother-in-law said it perfectly when we were going through kind of a hard time with a grandmother. And that was, this is where our faith rubber meets the road. And boy, I'll tell you what, if you're not ready for that, because your faith will get tried, and it'll get tried hard, and you won't see it coming. Just today, I was telling my son that the victories we celebrate over our sin, over our temptations, we need to be careful because Satan is waiting to throw another temptation at us. And that was a lesson I taught him just today. But boy, I'll tell you, 4:30 in the morning, or whatever time in the morning, it was dark. Yeah, we need to put your daughter, who's 4 hours old, 3 pounds, 1 ounce. We need to put her under anesthetic and spray her lungs with this chemical that's going to cause them to expand and mature rapidly. What? Okay. I'm not really conscious. And again, it was one of these days where didn't get a lot of sleep. I just happened to get hailed and bailed from my previous command. So it was like a big day. Everything's up. And then, oh, by the way, it's time for you to have your daughter's coming. What are the risks? Well, your lungs aren't working. What do you think? Well, you're not thinking clearly. Okay. Okay, Lord, you've got this. She's in your hands. Okay, sign the consent. It was literally like probably a 7-minute conversation, but we were scared. But we went back to sleep because what else could we do? So we get up about 6:30. Nothing. Hadn't heard anything. Didn't know anything. And so we're like, hey,
How did it go?
what's going on?
Like, what in the world?
I should mention that Tripler Army Hospital is a city. They can handle a whole lot of people. So it's big. Oh yeah, no, everything went fine. Oh, well, thank you.
Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah,
right.
what were you waiting
Good
for?
deal.
So my daughter gets born. I get to spend a couple more weeks with her than I expected. Pack up, drop the family off in Illinois with the in-laws. Like I said, deployed June 1st. Like, didn't see him for 6 months. And this is one of those great things where God ordered my steps. And again, I know I'm talking long, and I hope I'm being cogent for your listeners, but because of the way my career's been planned, Aaron and I have never been separated for longer than 6 months and 1 week. And that was this last deployment in 2017. Before that, it was like a couple of months and then back a couple of months because I did the 2 years in Bahrain, when mostly you do one. And I kind of jumped on every hard job early on. And I, due course. And the Lord lined me up with the right place. And same thing with this one where, okay, you checked in May 31st, slept on the ship, got underway the morning of June 1st. Back to the Gulf. 145 degrees that summer. But when I pulled in, I could FaceTime with my family. And I had recorded all kinds of videos. Because this is the miracle of cellular technology is, you're able to record things and stories and things for the kids so that to them, I wasn't gone. They were just watching today's video of me like, hey, going through the story that I read to them. And I'd FaceTime with them. And, sure, I was 12 hours, 18, whatever hours away from them. But no, we talked about every week. And, we kept in touch. And I kept Facebook up all the time so I could chat like daily. Because that's, at some point you reach a seniority level of, well, yeah, this is... You okay?
You're waiting for something to happen so you can address it, right?
Well, I'm checking open source news because I got to know what's going on. But God's been good. But yeah, got back.
Amen.
And here's the thing. Got back just in time for Christmas. So the only holiday, I only missed my son's birthday and Thanksgiving. I was home for Christmas.
That's cool.
And God bless the work of our hands. More than that, in that job deploying in harm's way, it was a senior job where I was leading a couple hundred, I think 250 sailors distributed across the strike group. Normally when you deploy, you lose at least one or two sailors, from accidents, from mistakes, whatever. Jesus, when he prayed to his Father, talked about not one of those that the Father gave him was taken from his hand. And I was, by the grace of God, able to bring every one of my people home from a combat deployment.
Hallelujah, man.
And we were safe. That's why, in the Navy, we're on ships off the shore, but it's stuff happens. And that's just God's grace, God's blessing, God giving me a Baptist chaplain who preached the word from day one on deployment, who I got to be really good friends with. Not the same as Pastor King, but he was good. And he kept me grounded. Through 6 months, 7 days, we got extended by a week, pulled in. Ship went to the dry dock. We're not deploying anymore. So for the next 18 months, we got to enjoy our little family together. Christmases, went and got a Christmas tree. I'm happy because my daddy's home for Christmas t-shirts. And fast forward to here.
Amen.
And this is going to take the longest story. So last tour I was in DC. As I said, I started off enlisted in the reserves. While I was in Hawaii, I had opportunity to come here on base for a drill weekend with the reserves. A reserve unit that supported me in Hawaii is here on Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base Fort Worth. So as a former reservist, I know what a drill weekend looks like. So I came out, got to know them, told them a little bit about what we expect them when they come to Hawaii, looked around the base, said, hey, this is a nice little base. Probably never see it again. Went back to Hawaii, told them, hey, boy, I found a neat little base, but I'll probably never see it again. So that's 2016, August. It wasn't even that hot. Went to Uncle Julio's. It was great.
Wasn't even.
Go to DC. So finish up so that's 2015. Do the carrier tour, 2017. 2019, supposed to go to Omaha. But then an opportunity came up in DC. God's timing is perfect. They were looking for people to help with the reserve command here in Fort Worth. They have a distributed headquarters, with different regions. And did I want to apply for the officer in charge position at Andrews Air Force Base outside of DC? I knew the job. I'd known people who did it. One of them was a former squadron mate of mine back in 2001. Another was another person I deployed with in 2001. So it's a small Navy, but God lines things up to where I've got this. Relax. You'll be all right. So I apply. Well, I talked to the guy about it. Hey, what's this job? Here's kind of what it's involved. It's good that you got some reserve experience, but it doesn't really do you any good. But, yada, yada, yada. I get picked for the job, so I come out here, which is a good thing because my dad got diagnosed with Alzheimer's right about the same time. So it was a good time for me to be out in D.C., in Virginia. Dad's in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, about 2 hours outside of the city.
Okay.
An hour if you drive fast. maybe. But
I get the feeling Pete drives fast.
had I no,
Would never.
I drive with traffic. My pastor's in the police. So I get tied into this supporting reservists here in D.C. Their headquarters is here at NASJRB Fort Worth. So my second week on the job, we come back here for combined training. I forgot to mention, I was working for an admiral here in charge. When I was in Bahrain, he came out as a lieutenant commander leading reservists to support the invasion of Iraq. So I got to know him then.
Wow.
So I, now working for him at this wonderful base, probably never see it again. First night, we're meeting at Cooper's. He comes right in line behind me. Pete, what are you doing here? Well, Admiral, I'm working for you out in D.C. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was like I'd just seen him. Just a consummate Southern gentleman. And we have not interacted that much, but it's one of those things where just one of those kind souls, like my XO in the reserves who mentored me and the senior chief. So I do that job. Finish up coming here at NASJRB Fort Worth. Last time here. I know it's the last time here. Nice little base. Probably never see it again. I go off to the Pentagon to work on the Joint Staff because I want to stay in the area, help Dad, that sort of thing. Ultimately, Dad passed while I was during that tour. That in itself was tough. Eulogizing someone who, in my professional years, I probably spent more time on airplanes than I spent in my dad's presence or talking to him. Losing a parent is unbelievably tough, especially when you don't know them and you don't have a solid feel for their salvation. But as I went through his things, and boy did he have a lot, I found enough of his Lutheran catechism and enough comments of things underlined that, and when I asked him, and Alzheimer's stole so much from him, but I would ask him, Dad, who's Jesus to you? And just without hesitation, he's the Savior. Okay. And then, like, at that point, Alzheimer's was, the amount of time that I've been talking about Alzheimer's just now, he would have forgotten what the initial topic was. And it was obvious that, yeah, isn't that something? Like all the cover words to where he doesn't know what we're talking about. Change the subject. But I went through enough stuff I have faith that Dad at least knew the word. And he knew what was waiting for him. And I trust in our God that has made promises that he will not leave or forsake any of his children. I don't know if my dad is in heaven. I hope he is. There's so many people I hope I see in heaven. But that's just it. That's the hope. And the difference is that I'll have with my children is they'll have certainty. So I finish up at the Pentagon, tough couple of years. But I wasn't even there 9 months, and I get a random email. I should probably mention that support to the Navy Reserves is not real high on priorities. So I get an email one day. I'm coming off a night's really tough, long weekend shift. And I get an email from the detailer, the person who gives you your next job, another shipmate. It's a small Navy. You seeing a theme?
Yeah.
Hey, Pete, the Fort Worth job is open. We need somebody who knows what they're doing down there. Are you interested? Now, I had always planned on returning to Texas in retirement, but I didn't figure there was a chance at all of coming back. So I talked to Aaron, prayed about it, because I thought I was delusional when I first saw it. And then I made the call, okay, applied for the job, we were planning on coming here anyway for like a retirement trip, just kind of start vacationing in Texas to like explore around. And we just planned on coming out. Turns out that we got picked for the job. So met with the Admiral. Fantastic boss. I am so tremendously blessed. And yeah, I got the job. And we arrived here, just celebrated 25 years of service.
Yeah.
I reported to OCS June 13th of 1999. The Lord brought me back here to Texas on May 28th, 2024. Nearly 25 years to the week. Brought me back here to Texas. Doing something that I started out with. Now, let me say this about mentoring, about the influence you have. And I don't mean to brag. God has blessed the work of my hands in ways that are just unspeakable. Because so many times, as I said, I should be dead, in jail. Certainly not with a family. Certainly not saved. I started off as an undesignated seaman in the Navy, in E3. Because of the mentorship of the people who guided me.
Yeah.
Couple of hours of guidance. I'm now the number 2 for 8,500 Navy reservists. And that's not me. That's God. And that's the mentorship that they put in. And the takeaway there is you don't know what your influence is. Anthony King doesn't know what his Anthony, well, he knows because I tell him all the time what he did and his aw shucks. Pastor Shetler, the people that you influence on a day-to-day basis. This podcast, you will never see, most likely this side of heaven, what the result will be. It is with my great joy that I keep in touch with my XO, Mike, and let him know where things are at. And it just tickles him pink that because he took time out to find me meaningful work, that he's been a part, and he's a believer, and it just is one of those great joys. I mean, literally, he sends the kids Christmas packages. I am so greatly blessed. And that's where things stand now. And that's the abridged version.
Insane, man.
What questions can I answer for you?
Oh, what a story. You know, it's been a pleasure, Pete, to, meet you and your family and, see your kids grow up a little bit in the church. You guys all been here for like a year, but it's been a real privilege, for sure, getting to know you and your family. And we really appreciate you coming on and telling your story. I mean, what else can I say? But God
I'm going to have to go back and listen to it, and then I'm going to come to you personally with questions.
God is good.
Yeah.
We serve a living God, and he is a just and righteous one for sure.
I think I actually think I know what we're going to title this episode.
You already have it.
I already have it because it's one of my favorite phrases in the Bible. It's 2 words, and you've said it over and over again.
Yep.
It's but God.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah. Except
when
the Lord.
when God interjects himself in a story, it's those 2 words together that change everything. But God. And I love that, man. Every time I see those 2 words together in the Bible, something insane's about to happen. Yeah. And I mean, that was your testimony, right? Every single time you said, but God, right? Something happened that was unexpected, that shouldn't have been a possibility, that just continually was God working in your life and him somehow working in a situation as a blessing, or the fact that you were there and able to be a blessing for other people over and over again. Just really special, man. I appreciate you being willing to come on and share that story with us.
Make your life into a movie.
I know, right? I mean, I know this was a longer episode than we typically do, but I was just I want to hear what comes next.
Yeah.
What else did God do in Pete's life? This is amazing.
It's always great to hear about it and see the Holy Spirit work in someone's life.
Yeah.
That's why I love these episodes so much, because it's a lot of it's just saying, here's my story, but this is what God's done in my life time after time after time and time again.
Yeah.
And anyone that knows Pete, anyone that's been around him knows where he's at now and then how humble he is about it, and just speaks again to just, hey, despite the path I was on and where ultimately I was destined without him, but God stepped in, and this is, where I'm at now.
Cool.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah. Good one. All right. If you would like to comment, if you're watching this on YouTube, please leave comments. I know that it'll be an encouragement to you to listen to Pete's testimony. I appreciate everybody tuning in and listening to us. If you'd like to share something with us or let us know how Pete's testimony specifically has really spoke to you and you saw something in his life that you can say that you identified with and said, yeah, I mean, I was there. I know exactly what you're talking about, Pete. Feel free to drop us a line. You can do that on any of our social media platforms, Facebook, and Instagram, LWBC Publications. You can drop us an email at podcast@lakeworthbaptist.org. We'd love to hear from you. But thanks for listening again. We appreciate the time that we get to spend with y'all every single time you allow us to come into your life and just kind of be a part of it. So appreciate it.
Absolutely. I want to thank Pete again for taking the time out on a Friday to come and sit with us and talk. It's a pleasure, sir. And thank you, listeners, for sticking with us week after week. We'll see you again in a couple weeks for another installment of Thinking Well. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you.